Good evening. Sound check, please. Hi, this is Steve at Little Treasury Jewelers, coming to you from Gambrels, Maryland, and been off for a little while, catching up on my January administrivia and other busy things that are keeping us going here in the store. And hi, Joel Kaminsky and Tom Austin. And am I getting a little reverberation, or am I okay? I'm hearing maybe a little here. And hi, Carlos. Haven't seen you for a while. Great. So, T-Con, Happy New Year to you as well. And looks like we have a good crew coming aboard. So this could be a fun show. I've been approached recently by a customer who's looking for a wedding watch, and he is going to be wearing a very dark blue suit, he says, and I need to cut off some sound here. There we go. And has suggested a couple of pieces, and I will show you those, and I'd like to get your feedback and help me with recommendations for this customer who I haven't met in person. He's from the Midwest and has been referred to me. So I think it's an interesting challenge, and a number of things come to mind. But starting out, he had interest in two pieces from Bremont initially, and I'm not sure we've abandoned them or not. And the first one is the Bremont Supersonic, and that is a limited edition piece from 2019, and comes with this silver dial and blue leather strap, and so like some feedback on that as a wedding piece. Now it's 43 millimeters and it's rather thick, so I'm not seeing this as a dress watch myself. And there probably are concerns, is this something that the gentleman's going to be wearing after the fact, and is that an important consideration, or is he looking for something elegant and appropriate for just that day? So, okay, Joey Ben, where's Craig's Gold Stunner? Craig doesn't have that yet, Joey. That's the SBGY002. And T-Con wants a small Navitimer, and all the 41s are too big. Okay, so we are not a dealer. For Breitling, we do get Navitimers pre-owned from time to time, but not in any sufficient volume. So Tom Austin, 43 millimeters, too large. We're back on the wedding watch topic. And I would likely agree with you. And let's put up the second choice that was suggested by my customer. And this is the Bremont limited edition for this year, the Hercules, commemorating the Spruce Goose, the large wooden airplane that was developed by Howard Hughes at the end of World War II and never saw active use because the need for a large transport plane evaporated with the ending of the war. So this is also the same size as the Supermarine. And Carlos is weighing in that the dial looks good, agrees it seems big and thick. So I'm sort of with you there. And then in my opinion, if this were the watch that were chosen, I think we'd have to do a switch on that strap. just a lot too casual for a very dark blue suit, almost black, at a solemn wedding occasion. So that's my opinion also. Okay, so let's move on to some other suggestions. Now, I recommended, let me get over to my other watch. So this is the Grand Seiko SBGK 003. I've shown this a number of times in different contexts. Beautiful piece, pretty hard to photograph. And this is not a live shot, so it's a photograph. I can't load my desk up with every watch in the store. Hand-painted dial, Iwate dial, beautiful alligator strap, relatively thin. It's a manual wind, and I think this would be a pretty fabulous wedding watch, provided the customer is wanting to go forward with it as well. So power reserve, small seconds, and part of the Elegance collection that Grand Seiko came out with last year. So I'm kind of liking this one myself. So, and Tom, GS dial is gorgeous. Yeah, this is really, really a special watch. And again, it's something that just, you can't capture it in photography. And it's something you got to see in life. But we like it a lot. And stainless steel cases. I see a little bit of a pinkish cast in my image there. So, all right, so we have that one as one of the choices. This is something I'm pushing for. And another choice from Grand Seiko is this piece. And it is the fall piece from the U.S. only Seasons collection. It's the SBGH 273 at 40 millimeters. And there is texturing on that dial, very, very subtle. And that is a very nice piece. So this brings up the question of, do we think that a metal bracelet or a fine strap, we've looked at a calf strap and sort of a velour-y leather strap on the Bremonts, a beautiful alligator on the SBGK 003, and now a metal bracelet on an otherwise elegant watch. So I'd like to get a little feedback on, for this kind of an occasion, do you need a leather strap, or can you go with a bracelet? And Tim is asking about the SBGK 005, about 003 rather. Does it have the spring drive? And no, that's a manual wind, although it does have the power reserve on the dial. So that is a conventional movement. So Carlos feeds back on this one, the current one on the screen, more versatile, but less elegant than the other blue dial Grand Seiko. I agree with that. So if the consideration of the groom is, I need a watch, an everyday watch going forward, that I'm going to use also in my wedding, this might be a good choice, a better choice in that sense, if the other is considered too dressy. So we have that. So I switched gears a little bit, and everything here is from our collection, so I'm sure there's many other things that you guys would recommend. So this is a piece from the Ateliers deMonaco collection, and this is a rarefied brand that we happen to carry here in the store. And this is a 18 karat gold piece, and it is a manual wind, and it happens to have the Geneva Seal, so it's very well pedigreed. And as you can see, just beautiful anglage and Geneva stripes on the plates, beautifully blued screw heads, and very limited, very special. This is number 3 of 18 pieces. So if part of the wedding idea is to commemorate with something rare and extremely special, rare as a brand, rare in terms of a very short-run limited edition, very low number, then this would be a pretty good choice, in my opinion, and extremely elegant, and would be definitely a dress watch going forward, not your everyday watch. So I wonder what you folks feel about those considerations. And also it has a really nice strap on it, alligator strap. So quite formal, probably the most formal piece that we're throwing out here. So, okay. So another choice that I thought of is the Omega Constellation Globemaster coaxial master chronometer. Beautiful pie pan dial, blue, again, would match the outfit well, on a bracelet. Okay, so this could come on a strap, and so more mainstream, and also lovely. And so those are sort of my few that I threw out there as considerations, and maybe there's other suggestions that you folks might have that I can pass on to my guy. So there's that. So let's look at further considerations. So this whole idea of providing a wedding watch struck a chord with me about many events here in the store, many discussions. And one of the discussions when we come up with the idea of groom looking for his wedding watch is who's going to pay for it? And there is a mini trend, I would call it, where the prospective mother-in-law funds the watch. And usually that is then brokered through the bride-to-be. And that's always nice, but there's always a little bit of a dance about budget and whatever. And okay, and we're backing up here on comments. Paul Kendrick, Omega bad, in my opinion. That's interesting. But Tom Austin recommends the white dial, perhaps, as an option. So that's a good suggestion. And then Paul, why Omega bad? I'd like to maybe throw a comment in there to get the discussion going a bit. So I think that most of these groom's watches comes with some kind of involvement with the other side, with the bride side, and not too often do we have people coming in and saying, I'm self-purchasing my wedding watch. So usually there's a gift element behind it, and a nice tradition, I would say, but that's petered off a little bit in the last year, but we did see a trend going for several years there. David Williams is aboard. Good to see you, David. Usually you're catching us offline, and so you must be off work now. And so let's move on a bit about what happens besides the wedding watch. And we have the other circumstance where we have people coming in, and I'm getting married in 6 weeks, 2 months, and they're on a mini binge, picking up watches that may be at risk post nuptials. And so they are anticipating that there's going to be a break on the watch budget, and they get ahead of the game a bit. And usually it might be a watch or two, but it's nothing too extreme. And okay, so Paul Kendrick follows up with, seems to him that Omega's beating the dead horse with a Speedmaster. Okay, that was a Globemaster, actually. And they are certainly doing a lot of variants on the theme with the Speedmaster. I have to grant you that. So um, uh, the Globemaster, to me, that was a pretty good-looking watch, and something I wouldn't mind wearing personally. So back into the wedding issue for watch collectors, post-wedding. And so this is in my heading for our discussion today, SOTC. And I wonder if you're familiar with that term. It shows up in watch forums from time to time. Sleep on the couch. So it's someone says, okay, this is an SOTC watch that I know I'm going to go home and the wife is going to be pissed, and I probably going to be in the doghouse or on the couch for a few days until she gets over it. So we see a lot of discussion about wives in the case of married men here in the store. And I'd say the most common phrase that we hear, and we hear it every day, is, "My wife will kill me." And we had no such fatalities yet, I'm happy to say. And it may be just a way of putting off that moment, and just a good way to get the customer off the hook from the purchasing decision. But my wife will kill me, my wife will kill me. We just tell the customer we're used to hearing it, has no effect on us. We don't think you're in danger. So that interesting phenomenon, however. So we have another one. This goes the other way. We had someone come in, and apparently a Rolex GMT Master. Pepsi was on his wish list. This is some years ago, before the large boom in prices. And it came out that this was his Grail watch, and we happened to have one. And the wife urged the fellow to purchase the watch, and he said, "Oh, no, I'm not sure. I always have to think. I have to sleep on it," which is a common thing. You know me, I don't do anything on the spur of the moment. And the wife insisted that he purchase it, and he did. And they went out the door fighting, and he had the watch. That was his Grail watch. The wife supported it. And he was just got his dander up that he was pushed into making that purchase at that time. And we sort of scratched our heads about that one. But another variation on the wife theme. So Joel Kaminsky, hi. And in Carlos's situation, every watch he purchases, his wife has something similar she likes. The last one was a car instead of a watch. Very good. So you have a balanced lifestyle with your wife, and that's a good thing. And I had a fellow today came in and bought a Grand Seiko Winter, the SBG A415, and we got talking about the wife issue, and he did some preventive maintenance the week before the purchase. He sent the wife out to get herself a handbag. And so that's another strategy, is getting ahead of the curve and inducing the wife to lay out something for herself, and then takes the pressure off on this acquisition. And so it was pretty obvious that he had it under control. And Chi-Town, California, hi, happy Friday to you. And yeah, that's back to the guy whose wife pushed him to buy the Rolex. I think in general, he's a little bit of a curmudgeon-y guy, enjoys being one, a good guy, basically. But we've never seen this phenomenon before. So another strategy that we see is the split. And this is where put half on this credit card, put half on this other one. My wife only sees the first one. Or put half cash and half on this credit card. And so obviously the fellow will go home and represent that he paid half, essentially, or whatever's on the card that the wife sees. So another strategy to avoid SOTC. And okay, BritFit says I look and sound great. Well, thank you. I know my last show I got dinged a bit for being unenergetic, but when you work 6 weeks straight and with no rest, you're a little dragging, and I've had a bit of rest now, and so feeling peppier, and thanks for the compliment. And we have someone from Denmark, Stig, is in, and he's enjoying the show, and John Decker's here from Charlottesville, and great, so good crowd today. So Joel is mentioning that something looks a little thick. I'm not sure which one we're back on, whether that's the Omega. And Tom Austin, as an Omega dealer, how long have you known about the new 321 Speedmaster? Essentially, when you did, when all the press went out, we didn't have an early heads up in that case. That's not too unusual. And okay, and let's get back on our topic. I got one other wife thing to do, and then we can get on to some new pieces that we have here in the store. The other is the wife in store veto, and occasionally, and more than occasionally, we have a couple come in, and he's an eager shopper. And everything that he puts on that he likes, the wife hates. And this is a very difficult situation, and usually it results in we not being particularly happy, and definitely the guy has been checkmated or checked by the wife, and there'll be a different reason, like the shade of blue is a little too this, or some little point that just makes her very irritated, and it's a sad situation, and the poor guy will try many watches, and there's always a failure, and so then he leaves, and maybe he'll come back alone at a future time. Okay, so we have Chi-Town saying the state of the collection and sleep on the couch. Have some common ties between them besides a shared acronym. Yeah, perhaps, especially when you add to the state of the collection inappropriately and get caught. So, and John Decker just sent a link to a Stephen to join the chat. He's getting married in October. Yeah, I hope that the prospective grooms for this year tune into this and maybe can get a couple of pointers. And Carlos is starting to plan ideas about what he wants for their silver wedding anniversary in 2 years. You can tell that Carlos has things well in hand, and he's definitely taking care of his lady, and any guy who thinks 2 years out about that is amazing. And if there's one criticism I have to some of our watch people coming in, and they buy themselves 1, 2, sometimes 3 watches, and then we say, what about the wife? And then it's one of these, shut the discussion down. And that's probably one of the worst strategies for managing the marital situation. So guys, remember to take care of people either in advance, like my customer who sent his wife on the handbag mission, or do what Carlos is doing and look ahead and plan carefully, get something nice, and remember that Little Treasury is a jewelry store as well, and we can help you out on both ends. And if you pick up something in the watch department, we're definitely going to help you in the jewelry department, and vice versa. So let's start thinking that way. And Chi-Town now asked, do I have any idea as to how many Omega ADs will be allotted Ed White Speedies? We are in the dark on that. I think we get told not to get too far out on a limb with any of these with pre-orders, and sometimes we're surprised by what eventually turns up, but we are always advised by our rep to be on the cautious side, and that's a good practice. We hate to disappoint people with things that don't show up. Okay, so Carlos is thinking on 2 Breguets, a classique porcelain dial for me, and Queen of Naples for her. Okay, so we're not Breguet dealers, but we do pick up Breguets from time to time from friends, and we'll take a look and see what those are. And Tim McDonald says, Carlos, get a GS spring drive from Steve. Carlos, are you there yet? Are you at the spring drive point yet? I'm not sure. I haven't been following all of Craig's streams lately because of other priorities, and I'm not quite convinced you're in the camp yet, but not too long, I think. And Joel doesn't think it's petite enough. And Joel, I'm not sure what you're thinking of. And Paul Kendrick, can't go wrong with a Breguet. And Chi-Town, do I sell Glashütte original watches? I don't, as an authorized dealer. We have Nomos Glashütte and Müller Glashütte, so we have 2 watches made in the town. I guess there are about 11 manufacturers in Glashütte, but I don't carry that brand at this time. And okay, Joel, that's perfect. But what is perfect, Joel? Let us know what you're referring to. And yep, okay, Carlos, I figured that. He appreciates Grand Seiko, but for some reason he's not there yet. Carlos, I don't recall. Have you actually tried on Grand Seikos? I think you said you had been in a California shop, but I don't recall exactly. So, and Stig, do I have any experience with the Seiko Prospex LX? To me, it seems like a poor man's Grand Seiko. I have only experience in Basel last year seeing the pieces, and we haven't had any to date. We're in discussions with the Seiko folks that be. We're going to the Grand Seiko Summit first week of March. We expect to meet also with the Seiko Lux people as part of that. And my feeling is they have some beautiful pieces, a couple I'd love to own personally. And I think it's a much more robust and sporty piece than most of the Grand Seiko line, obviously being at Prospex and what they represent. And I just think it's a parallel path. It's I wouldn't consider a poor man's Grand Seiko per se. I'd say it would be a very luxury sport watch. So, okay. So that's sort of what my take on wedding watches. I appreciate some of the feedback on that. I'd like to hear some more suggestions for my customer. And I have a couple of pieces that we've gotten in, which I like to put out at the end of our shows and show you what's new. So let me start with, okay, so David Williams mentions Geo could be a good addition to the shop offerings. It could indeed. They're very nice watches, and I will definitely take a look. And so Chi-Town says, how difficult will it be for us to become a dealer for other Swatch brands such as Longines or Blancpain? And we are a Longines dealer, and I would say that once you successfully represent a sister brand, that your odds of becoming a dealer are much better for as long as it's a fit with your customer base. And in our case, we are continually moving up the food chain, having cut our teeth on Ball and some of the other brands in that category, and definitely something to look at. The Geo suggestion is a good one. And okay, and BritFit, I have a tiny 6 and an 1/8 inch wrist. What watch can I wear? Probably a 26 millimeter watch of some sort from one of the brands, and I'll take a look at what we have and make some suggestions to you. And okay, Carlos. Back to Carlos. He's hoping to correct his not been to a very good GS dealer before in the first week of April. I hope you're definitely going to be stopping our way. I think we've had some hint that that might be in the offing, and that would be outstanding if you could make it and be our guest. And we might even invite Craig in from the mountains where he lives, if he's so inclined. And looks like Craig's not here today. I'm not seeing anything from him. And John Decker loves the GS GMT we sold him, and he wears it every day. That's great. And okay, what would you recommend to a Seiko path for his upcoming wedding on October 2020? Doesn't necessarily have to be a Seiko, Grand Seiko. I'll be wearing a tuxedo. Wrist is 6.5. Well, if you would wear a Grand Seiko, I certainly think you ought to go back and look at what we talked about earlier, the SBGK 003 manual wind. I think it's a fabulous piece, and it I think would go well on a 6.5 inch wrist. It depends on how you're wearing a tux. So okay, so you need a pretty formal watch. That would be one for sure. So I think that's and there are 5 watches in it, that SBGK series, different colors. The white dial might be very appropriate. Take a look at those. And okay, got to keep up with you guys. Have Chi-Town asks if I've heard of jewelry stores carrying high-end perfumes like Creed or Roja Dove. And no, I haven't. Interesting. Are you aware of those, Chi-Town? Sort of interesting. I've seen other stores carrying handbags, pre-owned handbags actually, just like pre-owned watches, but not the perfumes. Maybe that's something to look into. And Chi-Town GS has some great 9F watches out there in 37 millimeters, SBGX series. That's a good suggestion as well. And Seiko Path, that is a good one. I think I'm gonna have to appropriate that as well. And okay, so all right, I think we're caught up with these, and so let's look at what I have here on deck, and whoops, that isn't on deck. This is. Okay, so This is a new Oris piece in the store, just to change gears. And it is a bronze watch, obviously, with a brown dial. And we're hearing rumblings that brown is the new blue. I'm not sure about that, but we are seeing a number of watches coming out brown, and probably too many watches coming out in bronze. But it's a credible piece and pretty nice looking, and has the typical Oris red rotor and nice rough leather strap, appropriate for its sporty nature. Okay. Okay, so Tom Austin, SBGY 003 is great and would be a solid choice for a wedding. That would indeed. And Joel Kaminsky, when his brother got married, his brother bought everyone a Swiss Army watch, all of the groomsmen, and he has one to this day. That's a really nice gesture, and there are affordable watches that make that possible. Swiss Army would be one of them. And Chi-Town asks if someone purchased the Grand Seiko on a bracelet, we'll be able to source them a high-quality leather strap to go along with it. Yes, indeed, we could. And we're a dealer for Hirsch. I think one of the few left now that they've gone direct from Austria, and Hadley Roma, and we work with some custom strap people as well. So that we could do. And Carlos has tried Oris, and he likes that one. Okay, great. And Joel says, get a Coke. Okay. And Chi-Town has handled the pale blue Oris Big Crown pointer date, and great quality watch for the money. Yes, Oris has really come into their own. They, not only just quality and price-wise, but the designs are really nice and great at the price point. So we're very happy to be carrying that line here in the store. And someone asked 40 millimeters on the Oris, and let's get a measure on that. Yes, 40 on the button, so that it is. So let's look at another Oris while we're at it. And let me get this guy in focus. This is really changing gears. And difficult to focus, this one. Hang on. That's about as good as I can get it. This does not want to focus. There, that's a little better. Okay, so here we have the Oris 40th Squadron limited edition. Sorry about that, Jiggle. A limited edition of 500 pieces. It's for the Belgian Air Force 40th Squadron. I don't know why. And it is a imposing 45 millimeters. Interesting strap, as you can see. And it's got the emblem of the Belgian Air Force on the back. And as you can see, limited edition. And if you like a big, imposing, but very legible, extremely legible pilot watch with a very nice knurled bezel and interesting fabric strap, looks like nylon, with a very nice little Oris buckle on it. This would be a piece to consider. Date, obviously. So it's Big Crown Pro Pilot. RS 40th Squadron Limited Edition. Okay. Okay. I'm catching up with the comments. 40 millimeters. And Crappy should be here, says Tom. And Carlos says he probably is, but he'll not show. I don't know who this person is. Haven't seen it. And Chi-Town, propitiously, and he's on my prompting team, I think, not just on the wrench gang, asks about are we a dealer for Zodiac watches? And I can't get this to stand properly, but we'll go to it anyway. We are one of the few dealers of Zodiac watches, and I'm trying to show you this very reflective piece. This is brand new, and it's the Zodiac Super Seawolf 53. Comes in at 40.5 millimeters, and it has a very nice black case bracelet, really great feel to it, very slick, and with that nice blue accent on the second hand and on the writing under the second hand there. So really cool piece, and this is a equally reasonable $13.95 as Zodiac is. A lot of bang for the buck. And so this just came in, just shipped one out to a customer. I think he'll love it, and this one's in stock right now. Okay, can I give a bezel rotation demonstration? I can, and it's clicking very satisfyingly, if that's a word. And looks like 120 clicks. And back to home. So those of you so inclined, everything line up okay for you? Looks good to me. So, all right, so that is everything I have to show you folks today. And I know this is off to the side. And Zodiac is doing some very nice things. It's not a wedding watch, but it's certainly something to take on the honeymoon, especially if you go to the beach. So, all right. Any other requests, any other comments, any other helpful ideas for my groom where I started this discussion? And, okay, Chi-Town comes in with the Super Seawolf is a great alternative to the RS Diver 65, and wearability and build tolerances are excellent. We agree. And isn't there something special about the clasp on the Zodiac? Yes. Let me put that back on. So, yep, there's a little stretch in here, a little give. I don't know if you can see that. So you get another, looks like 2 millimeters on either side of the clasp. Whoops, my hand is totally in the way. There you go. So very nice feature. And I guess some folks would like Grand Seiko to have something like that in the bag for their non-micro adjustable bracelets that we confront from time to time. So, butterfly clasp with spring-loaded tensioners. It's a better way of saying it. Thank you, Chi-Town. And That's it. Chai knows everything. It's true. Chai, what is the source of all this knowledge? I'm always impressed. You even anticipated my zodiac thing, so very good. All right. So I think we're nearing the end of this. On an up note, with kudos to Chi Town and best wishes for our groom to be. I didn't tell him I was doing this, and I'll probably ask him to tune in later and see what if he garners anything from the discussion. And let me get me back on. So I'm going to wind it up, go back to work, try to sell some watches, and Chi-Town, California is blushing, and we can't see it over the line here, but we take your word for it. So let's blush into the sunset, and with that, I'm going to press my little beeper and sign off for all of you. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great new year.